it is a potentially positive development. I have to say that it's unlikely that we would have arrived at that point where there were even public statements like that without a credible military threat to deal with the chemical weapons use inside of Syria.
That's President Obama taking credit. I think he was taking credit for a solution. I think it's a solution in Syria where the Syrian government basically agrees to give its chemical weapons to the Russians. And we can trust both of them, of course. Joining us now from Los Angeles to talk about this is the boss of Breitbart.com, our friend Joel Pollack. Joel, this is amazing. I just want to talk for 1 second about that video clip there. President Obama said this wouldn't happen unless we had made our saber rattling. But isn't it true that Obama particularly said he would not have attacked those chemical weapon sites for various reasons? He's just desperately trying to look like he had something to do with a solution that actually was Vladimir Putin's win and plan from the very beginning. He looked like he was caught by surprise. Am I wrong in my analysis?
You're absolutely correct. We call this the Pee Wee Herman defense. You know, Pee Wee Herman used to get himself into a disaster and then somehow land on his feet and then say, I meant to do all that. Yeah. That's Obama's defense here. He's basically saying, well, don't look at the mess that I made along the way to getting to some kind of peaceful resolution. I meant to do all that. Of course, it's not true. And by the way, it's not a resolution. The war is going to continue in Syria. Iran is going to continue to build its influence. It now has a foothold on the Mediterranean. Russia is going to build its ports and bases in that region as well. So the United States in retreat means Iran in advance. That is not a resolution. That is merely a prelude to the next stage of conflict. This is not really solving anything. And the more the Obama administration walks away from the Middle East, the more this is going to continue.
I mean, just to emphasize that point, the Syrian Air Force launched a series of strikes against the rebels, sort of not only flexing their muscles against the rebels, but almost taunting the American warships, saying, yeah, you got your deal, and we're going to go back to crushing the rebels. Now, I hate both sides, but if anyone thinks this is a setback for Syria, I just don't know how it could possibly. I mean, is there any downside for Syria? Even if they do keep their promise to their fellow authoritarian, Vladimir Putin, even if they do give them the chemical weapons, I think it was pretty sure that Assad wasn't going to use them again after, you know, the international response to this time. So he gets a freebie, he gets a mulligan, basically, and now he has Vladimir Putin as his even stronger protector. Did he have any setback at all, Bashar Assad, here?
Yes, he did, because the whole debacle has forced the Israeli government to consider going on its own in dealing with Iran. Iran is really the threat to Israel and to U.S. interest in the region. You know, Putin is a rival, possibly, as Romney said, our #1 geopolitical rival, but the immediate security threat comes from Iran. And Israeli leaders, after watching Obama completely collapse, and doing so after they had offered some kind of support for his Syria strike, now they're left hanging with this. They're not going to make that mistake again. I think they're done relying on Barack Obama, and so Assad has to worry that Israel is going to target the Iranian regime, its nuclear weapons program, its political leadership, and that in turn could mean the end of Assad's weapons and diplomatic lifeline. So if Israel now decides to take unilateral action, which has to be a far greater probability than it was a week ago, then Assad could be in far greater trouble. So yes, Putin checkmated Obama, but we're playing three-dimensional chess here, and there are other players on the board.
That's a great point. You know, it's amazing how allies can no longer rely on Obama. I did not think it was appropriate for Obama to stand beside al-Qaeda rebels in Syria, but they just learned how fickle a friend he is. I think Israel has come to that conclusion, as you say. I understand that Obama's staff kicked out British military staff from a joint meeting that they traditionally had, saying we can't trust you as an ally. I read in Der Spiegel today that Germany is now taking aerial photographs of the U.S. Embassy in Berlin looking for, you know, intelligence equipment. I think Obama is a far greater threat to his nominal allies, his NATO allies, his democracy allies, than he is to any bad guys. It's stunning to me how much America is retreating, not just from conflicts, but from traditional friends. Tell me if I'm missing anything here, but I think that America is pulling back. I'm not even going to call it isolationism. I'm just going to say abandoning national interests to other players.
It certainly is doing that, and the parallel is to the 1956 Suez Crisis, when Britain isolated and alienated the United States over its conduct in the Suez, that is to say, Britain's conduct. Prime Minister Anthony Eden was aggressive in asserting British power in a region of the world where its power had really waned, and its steadfast ally, the United States, said to it, wait a minute, you don't get to do that, and Eisenhower withheld his support for what Britain was doing in the Suez. And you're seeing the same thing here, where the world is saying to the United States, look, we're your allies, the free world at least, Germany, Britain, Israel, basically, we're your allies, but you're leading us down a path of failure here. And the only problem is there's no looming superpower ready to fight for those principles once the U.S. withdraws.
Right.
So this may be even, yes, this may be an even greater debacle than Suez, looking back on history.
Joel, I hate to say it, but I think you're right. We're out of time, my friend. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again soon.